4 splits, 4 titles. They cement their legacy as the OPL Kings. But that's the double kill for the Fade. Baby, they clean up. Glad, that was beautiful. They needed a miracle. He gave them everything and more. Your 2018 League of Legends OPL Split 2 champions, the Direwolves!
Hello, welcome to day 2, week 1 of Split 1 of the 2019 OPL. I am Nick Boy Richardson, and I am joined again by my trophies that I earned and that I take home at night and bring in just for the shoots. But I'm also joined by 2 other people I take home at night. It's Jake, Spawn Tiberi, and Zach, Rusty Pie. Boys, how we doing?
Fantastic. I'm happy to be back, I guess. Left his house in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Some say left, some say escaped. Who knows?
You got a new gift, by the way, behind you, the golden poro.
Oh,
I brought that one from home.
Lovely. Where
Yeah.
did this come from?
That was from China. I think it was 2015 Worlds. Spawn, we were both there.
That's
You got a
nice.
gift from it.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And Benji brought the muffins from yesterday. What did you bring me?
Next week I'm going to bring you a collar for one of your shirts.
I refuse to wear collars anymore.
Yeah, what happened there?
I think it's the style. I don't know. Like I go into stores and I take off all my clothes and I walk in. I go, dress me. And so I think they just grab the nearest thing and put it on. And apparently shirts without collars, that is the nearest thing in the shop. How was yesterday for you guys? How was the first day back at work?
It was
Yeah,
good.
how was it?
I enjoyed yesterday. I thought it was quite good. Of course, AV did go 1-0. I won't talk too much about it because it feels really awkward
Oh, it's not awkward
given
at all.
the who we beat. But
alright.
yeah, happy to be here. Happy to be 1-0.
I'm just a good friend. This is all this is.
You have not made eye contact with him though. Like you're saying this to me. That's not the sign of a good friend.
I just know that I can take it, and
Yeah.
I don't know whether Zach can take defeat yet. So
Right, okay. We'll find out.
Yeah, exactly.
we
so I
might.
just thought, I would give this one to him.
Yeah.
The freebie,
Right, okay.
if you will.
That's nice.
The welcome home present.
Okay, so this was a gimme, and then every time after this, Order will beat Avant no matter what.
Oh, willing to put money on it. Like,
Do I get
very
a 2-0
confident.
first week as well? Is that what we're going for? Or is
Oh,
it just
it's
the
not
one?
in my control anymore, mate. I'll try and talk to the other general
You
manager,
are
see
formerly
what
of
I
the
can do.
Chiefs.
Well, let's see who Rusty is going up against. Let's see if he can continue that winning streak with the schedule that we have for today's games. First up, it's Order versus Bombers. Then we've got Legacy versus Direwolves, followed by Mammoth versus Gravitas, and then finally it's Avant versus Chiefs.
Don't worry about it, Nick. No one can pronounce the team's name. That's all I know. They should have stuck with either hashtag new OPL team
Yep.
or hashtag esports geek or hashtag sports geeks OPL team. That got a little bit too long and convoluted.
Hashtag Gravy Boys.
Gravitas,
Yeah.
Gravy.
What is it?
what
is
is
it?
this?
Bryce, what is it?
What do you mean? It's gravitas.
What did
It's
you
a
say?
very easy word. Gravitas.
Gravitas.
Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Gravy Boys.
Oh, you're
Groovy toe.
All right, good. Yeah, I mean, that was always a mistake to do that.
Yeah.
But we'll see if those Gravy Boys can stack up because we've got spicy tips again today. Now, obviously, yesterday that didn't work out too
I
well
think it went
for
well.
me. Well, I mean,
Because you came up with a segment.
I did, like an idiot.
So when you explained it to me, this is pretty much exactly what I had in my head.
yeah.
Was like someone,
Yep.
not me, was going to eat a chili.
Yep.
And it was going to be funny.
Fair.
And that's what happened.
It did what it said on the tin. Let's see how we're going to go today. We'll get up the tips. Now, we put these tips in last week before we knew what yesterday was like.
Hey, are you jumping off the bandwagon already?
I'm just saying I should have tipped Bombers. So I've got Bombers, Legacy again, but I've got some backup this time, which is great. Then it's a total sweep for Mammoth.
Yeah, which is weird, right? Because generally when you're the head coach of a team,
Yeah.
you know more information about them. Maybe
That's true.
like Rusty, you think that you have a good draft prepared
Yep.
for something against Order. Rusty, only person to tip Avant yesterday.
Of course.
So I was expecting for there to be not a sequence of Mammoth tips, and for maybe Bryce, Ege, and Paul to have some form of faith in the roster that he's built, along with Jubes, another legend of the OPL, and
Yep.
the great infrastructure that is at Gravitas or
Yep.
Gravitas or Esports Geek.
Yeah.
However, he's off the bandwagon.
Not only does he have inside information and that should be enough, but just pure love for the boys, faith for the boys. Juves texted me yesterday. He tipped Gravitas in games that Gravitas weren't even playing in. That's how much he loves his team, Bryce.
I have the love and I have the faith.
Please.
And I am not one to say very controversial things. Yesterday proved that point. I'm all about hedging. So either I win on broadcast or I win in the game, and it's a win-win situation. So I'm just playing the odds. And that's a smart move.
Sir Butt Kicks of Us a Lot says, hey, first time tuning into the OPL, who's the best team? Bryce, you wouldn't say it's Gravitas.
It's
so
obviously
You
Gravitas.
betrayed your team.
yeah, I mean, look, we're going to find out, obviously. But so, obviously, at the end of the night, whoever gets the least amount of wins in the Spicy Tips competition is going to have to just hoe down on one of these bad boys.
They're not that hot, by the way.
No, you had one before, and you, like, nibbled the end. You just did, like, a... And saying that, I think it should be... Because it is a punishment, so I think you have to eat 2. If you don't find these hot, then you have to eat 2
I
in
feel like
rest
the
of
idea
season.
is you have to eat it
Yeah.
until it's hot.
Yeah,
fine.
I think that's the whole point. Let's take a look at the first game that we will be playing. We won't be playing. We'll be watching other people will be playing. It is Order versus Bombers. And Jake... no, not Jake. Rusty, talk us through Order.
I'll talk us through Order. Choo Choo's is still your coach. Tally in the top lane. Spooks and Swiffer the jungle and mid lane duo. Yeah, Dream in the AD carry position. And Jake, of course, in support. Boys looking to bounce back from yesterday's results, definitely. But still, I saw a lot of inspirational and motivational stuff from them on social media after the game. So I've no doubt that they are still prepared and fully aware of their own skills. And they want to bring them out today and show they still have it.
Yeah, also shout out to Spooks. It's his birthday today, 25. I think that makes him the oldest player in the OPL by quite a length. The hands now warmed up after the one game of warm-up, and hopefully looking forward to a good performance from our jungler today.
Well, like you said, that was a gimme to Avant, so we can expect some big things from Order coming up. And, of course, they'll be facing Bombers. Jake, talk us through Bombers.
Yeah, Western Way is their coach, of course, previously known as Windows Monkey. They've got the 2 Koreans on the top side of the map in Mimic and Volcan. Apologies for butchering his name. I just have a really bad Australian accent. Tommy Lee, Ryoma in the mid lane. FBI and Rogue, of course. Just what an aesthetically pleasing bottom lane, if nothing else. Able to get the win yesterday as well. Of course, they're playing up against their previous team. They were on Order last year. Betrayed me and everything I loved.
Yep.
And now on Essendon Football Club, the team that I previously, up until this year, actually up until last year, had a membership for 23 years of my life. Well, they bought into the OPL and I threw it in the bin. So
True.
that's where it went.
That's a fair reason.
There we go.
Yeah, that's
pretty
justifiable.
And now they've stolen my 80 carry and my support, and I wish I had done something else with it, Rusty.
They saw your membership was gone. That's what you
Yeah,
get.
exactly right.
Well, I tipped Order, you tipped Order as well.
I tipped Order.
The other 3 went for Bombers. We're going to find out how that turns out as we throw to the Custis desk with Ejim and Vandy.
Hey, thanks, Nick Boy. I am Corey Vandy Bassey, joined today by Jake, Ejim, Bryce, Ejim, Paul.
Jake's everywhere. You know,
Jake is everywhere.
He's sat here
He's
as a
so
color caster.
dominant.
He's hosted and a play-by-play, and he's taken over the
I
couch.
think I was literally just thinking about his Essendon membership that
True.
feels like it went to waste. With the recap of the results from yesterday, we do know that Order, they were up against Avant and they lost. We were
Yes.
expecting it to be a turnaround. Wasn't the results we saw. Bombers did get the win against Mammoth, which was also quite interesting because we thought those two were vying for that first position.
Yeah, they're interesting because those two stylistically are very different games. Most people coming in expect Order to take the victory. They had a very weird style. I think we were talking about the back end of yesterday's show that Order showed the most niche stuff. We're literally 1 game deep per team, so sample size of 1 is not really much to speak about, but they showed the weirdest stuff and it didn't pay off. I'd expect them to go more back to basics, more to a standard sort of comp here versus Bombers. But speaking about the Bombers Mammoth game, that was genuinely very close. These are touted as some of the top 2 teams in the league.
There was so much back and forth.
Yeah, that was such a back and forth game. Eventually, Bombers took the win after, like, I feel like a top lane carry performance from the new Koreans, which are kind of the wild cards for their team, and it just looked super successful.
I have to agree with that. I think Vulcan on that Eve pick just showed so much promise. It was really nice to see as we are getting into Champ Select for the first game of the day.
So a couple of standard things already. Blue side, Aurelia Akali, just getting rid of the Flex Assassins there. Galio is a big pick for a player like Swiffer, I think, so it makes a lot of sense. Ryoma plays a lot more of the individual, like, I will smash you. He is that kind of stylistic player. He wants the 1v1, he wants the volatile matchups, whereas Swiffer, I feel like over the course of his career, he used to be very good at Lulu mid. He's played all of the utility stuff across the board, so these sort of bans against Order so far make a lot of sense here from Bombers.
And still with that Aatrox ban, so much respect for him. We have seen him being banned out all of yesterday. And just showing that trend ever since his rework, there's a lot of respect coming his way.
Yeah, and this meta is just a bunch of broken, well, like, not broken, because there's too many to call something broken, but a bunch of, like, the S tier, the the top tier picks can all just be played everywhere. Cassio is a ban for all 3 lanes. Aatrox is a ban for the 2 solo lanes plus the jungle. Aurelia and Akali can be played both mid and top, and Urgot as well. We saw AV, they played it yesterday in the mid lane as well. So this is the expected first pick here for Order, but it can be going anywhere.
Well, to the point, to really reinforce that, is that Urgot was picked in all of those games yesterday, so he's very, very strong. I think that ability to flex, as you said, you're not giving away too much of your draft. I think for the junglers would be where I might be interested to see. From Balkan, we did see him bring out that Evelyn when we've seen a lot of teams really starting with the Sejuani pick.
Yeah, he's not an Eve one trick, but he's an Eve connoisseur, Balkan. So it makes a lot of sense that he is the first player in the OPL to actually go for that sort of pick. We have seen a lot more of the standard, like Camille has received a couple of bans, less game time, I think, but Sejuani, junglers like this are big in the meta right now, but Bombers don't opt for one.
Well, priority seems to be for Bombers to, with that Kai'Sa pick, to start fleshing out their bot lane, picking up that Kai'Sa, who we did see FBI yesterday play very, very confidently with Rogue on that Thresh.
And that was a turnaround play, right? They counter-picked like a Sivir alley lane with a difficult matchup in the Kai'Sa Thresh. The lane didn't really go as they planned, I think, but late game FBI was absolutely popping off. This was like somebody would get picked at the start of a team fight versus Mammoth, and FBI literally almost 1v4'd, I think, twice in that game.
He did. Rogue was really trying to support him as best he could, but we did see maybe it was a little bit of first game jitters from Rogue, but sometimes he was very hit and miss. He was either landing all the right skill shots or completely whiffing everything.
Yeah, that's kind of Thresh as a champion sometimes. I can speak from experience. It's kind of rough.
100%.
But he had a fat yellow star playing at the top lane. He flashed over the wall, hook, flayed absolutely nothing, went completely wide. So, you know, sometimes it happens. It happens.
You still want to be the playmaker. You can see Order as well picking up that Ezreal and Braum. Ezreal now is an interesting one to me. We saw him hovered a couple of times, but not locked in yesterday. What do you read of that?
It is interesting into the Kai'Sa. Normally when Kai'Sa gets blind picked, you want to be able to shut down that lane early. Ezreal, not the strongest laner. You can pair it with Braum and your level like 1 to 2 is incredibly good. But maybe just looking to play a more standard team comp. This is going to be a self-sufficient AD carry here for Dream. Jake has been a long-time defensive style-ish support player, so they blind pick his champion. He will eventually get counter-picked by something with Rogue. I don't think 2 bans is enough to kind of shepherd Braum completely through the draft. They will be able to get some sort of priority in the bottom lane, will the Bombers, but this is just safe drafting, whereas Order yesterday, I feel like went for a very risky comp.
And didn't quite pay off for them, as we did see. The Camille being picked up as well, and the Sejuani ban following suit. I think to give Order the Sejuani and Braum, we heard it yesterday, they have so much synergy together, it's a very scary pick composition to have, so just taking that away. Also the Rakan.
Yeah, that was AV, right? With the Sejuani, Braum, the passives, the auto attacks, any melee champion can proc both at once, and there's just CC galore, really. So it makes a whole lot of sense. Camille was locked into the 3rd pick there for Bombers, so it makes sense that they're targeting away the junglers, just trying to get rid of the tankiest member to round out the rest of Order's comp in the Sejuani, but also just a sort of rough matchup with the Kha'Zix, so trying to get Balkan as much pressure as he can in the early game.
It's nice to see for Balkan to just give him the best chance of success. I think with that Camille pick, we do feel as though it could be standard. We do also see the Alistair again, so this is a different direction if they are going to lock this one in from Bombers, and it means I guess they can play really aggressive in this bot lane now.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, because Order can go many places with this comp, but already Bombers have locked themselves in to walk forward. We've got a Lissandra, a Camille, and Alistair. They all just want to go in. This is an Eve hover from Dream. I can almost guarantee you that is not going to be picked up here for Spooks. That was just a bit of a shout out to Balkan from yesterday.
Respecting it.
Yeah, respect. Probably a little bit of lack of respect, I think, in this situation. But there we go. They don't lock it in.
Yep, they go instead with the Zoe pickup. And this is one that we have not yet seen a debut in the OPL as of this year. Zoe, I feel, is one of those champs or that pick where she either does a lot or a little.
Yes. She's kind of like very pick-oriented, of course. Like she's one of those champions that when you're behind is very hard to execute because you want to be playing with the bubbles through the walls, and for that you need to set up, you need to have priority in the jungle to play through the walls, but also you need to be able to deny them vision. It's very easy to land a bubble from fog. It's very hard to just walk up to people and they're not just going to stand there, look at you and be like, hey man, bubble me. Like that's not how that works. So makes a whole lot of sense here from Swiffer.
Jungler as well being picked up, so that's going to be the Xin Zhao filling out the rest of their composition. Also followed by the Syndra pick on the side of Bombers. So double mage is what I can see.
Yeah, interesting. I feel like this meta isn't a big Syndra meta. but this has been 2 picks already in the OPL. It was Legacy that picked it into Gravitas's LeBlanc. LeBlanc was banned away in this situation, but it's a fairly standard mage in the Zoe that was blind picked here. Red side, Ryoma's always going to get that counter pick, so he kind of had the selection of everything. The OPs were banned, and Cassio was banned away by Bombers, but LeBlanc was really the only thing that Order were really worried about here. They had to ban away the Rakan, or at least they felt like they did, so they only got 1 mid ban for the Zoe. And it makes a lot of sense for Ryoma to pick up the Syndra.
We've got so much blow-up taking that position that the LeBlanc would have otherwise provided, but then also with the Lissandra, now you not only have that huge crowd control with the burst, you have even more with Ryoma on that Syndra.
And I think this game is interesting, not just to talk broad picture, right? Come out of this draft right here, I feel like we've mentioned it a couple of times, but most people, most pundits, most everyone in the community looks at this split and is like Mammoth and Bombers are the teams to beat. They played each other yesterday. Bombers were the victors in that situation, so they beat out Mammoth. But now this game and how close it is, I think really speaks towards parity in the league. Order had a very rough day yesterday, but if they can shake that off and they can pull out a win versus Bombers here, then all of a sudden you're placing them in the top 2, top 3 sort of category. It's very early, but because of this best of 1 situation, it can kind of go everywhere.
We do need to remember as well, this is a best of 1 that we have. This new format that's coming through, it is triple round robin, but upsets can happen. As we did see yesterday, everyone was thinking Avant was going to lose, and here we go. There was an upset, but we are getting in game number 1, and we are actually joined by Coach Choo Choos. How are you going, man?
I'm good. Feeling much better than yesterday. Having a good night's rest. And I'm also happy with this draft. So I'm feeling good.
That's what I wanted to ask actually about the draft yesterday. Not going into specifics,
Hit me
but
with it.
I was very surprised at how that turned out. Was this an intentional plan coming into it? Was it like first game something you unexpected, or?
We had it's happened 3 times in my coaching career, but it happened in League of Origin most recently. But I had a plan in front. We had the plan in front of me, and we just didn't follow what we had written down. I think like the intensity of the first game definitely got to me and the players. But I think like getting past first game jitters, we should be able to be a lot more focused and get day 2.
Sounds really good. I mean, with the boys as well, do you think the performance yesterday really affected them? Or, I mean, you can't read too much into just a first game, can you?
No, our practice, like we definitely feel like we have a very efficient system in place comparatively to last year. So we are very happy with like the way we're practicing, the way like week to week has been going. And like even if we do go 0-2 in the first week, like we do trust in our process, and we are very confident that like towards leading into Gauntlet, we'll be a top 2 team.
And that is very interesting. I like trust in the process, right? That makes a lot of sense. I want to talk about something roster-wise, not specifically for this game. Obviously, the change up from FBI and Rogue to Dream and Jake this split. Stylistically, very different players, at least in my eyes. Like, how is it for you juggling that? Does this give your team a different identity, or like how much does it change?
Definitely. I think people, like as you would see yesterday, FBI and Rogue, arguably the best bot lane in OCE for like the past 2 years. And definitely like coming into this game, we have to, I mean, we do know a fair bit about them. Definitely, like, when we saw the boys coming into the studio today, we would, the trash talk was already going on. But I think our bot lane has, they've developed a lot in the past 2 weeks, especially with veterans of Swiffer, Spooks, and Tally. So in the past 2 weeks, we've just been integrating them and trying to fill those shoes that FBI and Rogue did leave.
And I have a very specific last question. Does Tally really like this? Because I think of Tally and I'm like old school, like hard carry player. He's literally played Master Yi in a competitive game. Is he like, man, like I don't have FBI Rogue on my team drawing all of Spooks' resources? Like, is he just frothing the fact that like your new bottom lane is a completely different style or what?
I don't know. Like, that's hard to answer. Yeah, that is a very specific question. Tally definitely, like, he's very good friends with both of these players. They're both very positive, very like good people outside of just players themselves. So it's just nice to have like those personalities and characters in like the house environment. So it's going to be a pleasure going forward.
That sounds really nice. Thank you so much for your time, Choo Choos, coach of Order. We're going to wait and see how your boys go. But we know you'll be cheering them on. Jake was so incredibly low. She was in Choo Choo's face there. Maybe just clinching for a moment there, but they do get the first blood in the mid lane.
So the bit of a turnaround there, just as Choo Choos is literally taking off his headset. Flash Pulverize in the bottom lane. Jake does fall down a little bit later. You can see the summoners were burned. It's Flash from FBI, Flash from Rogue. Volkan's looking for a bit more onto Dream.
Also, Balkan, he's happy to get amongst it, forcing that teleport from Dream. He is poking back, but that's some scary stuff already. So much aggression here in the bot lane.
Yeah, you mentioned teleport in reference to the blink, right? But he actually has teleport the summoner spell, so he's going to reset. He can go back to lane and be able to catch the remnants of this. Spook's already got that kill in the mid lane. But
here we go, onto Balkan over here, noticing that a couple summoners have been gone. The flash goes out, but Spook still manages to get the kill.
And you can see his player cam. Happy birthday, Spooks, because he's absolutely popping off already. Xin Zhao, Hail of Blades. You
25 years young.
Yes, you get 3 very fast auto attacks. Xin Zhao's early game is incredibly good, and now with 2 kills already, this is the perfect start. And this was after the play, right? So FBI just flashes forward. That's a very easy cleanup. There's no flash on the Braum. There's no heal on this Ezreal because, as we mentioned, he has the teleport. So pretty easy pickup, and both of these teams coming out of the gate swinging.
Lovely to see. I mean, as you said, literally as Choo Choo's was taking off his headset, all of his action, couldn't have timed it any better myself. Really needing to respect that early game coming out from Spooks. Right place, right time, but that just comes down to that expertise that he has.
So, a little bit of a spectator bug there. Balkan didn't actually leave the bush, but we haven't even mentioned the kill in the mid lane didn't go over to Swiffer. It went to Spook, so he's 2-0, but this does hurt Syndra. This was the Syndra counter pick into Zoe, and he's already died. Bomber's making 2 plays on the map at once. They're looking for this bot play, and if Spooks isn't there answering, then you know he's going to be looking for something on the other side of the map. So I feel like maybe a little bit greedy here from the Bombers, kind of across multiple lanes very early on in the game, and they get punished for it.
So for Spooks, I mean, with those kills that he's picked up, what do we expect to see from him? Is it going to be still just farm up, or will we start to see him make a couple more aggressive plays?
Absolutely not. Xin Zhao farm up are not 2 words that I would like to hear. He wants to be looking for Balkan when he can get his lane's priorities. He can... look, he's 2 levels up. We're 5 minutes into the game. He's level 5. Balkan is literally level 3 on Camille. Both of these champions are like the best level 2 gankers maybe in the jungle right now. Spooks did just start his recall. He knows he's on a ward, but kind of baiting this one. That
FBI confirms it now.
Bit of a smarts read there, so does just back away, because he's kind of baiting here, right? FBI knew he was there, and they do get the wave in and back away. Spooks is kind of hoping that they greed out for a play. Rogue, he can ward that over the wall, but he actually stepped up around the corner. But Spooks did just waste a lot of time there. He is incredibly ahead. Had a double camp lead.
He was saying with his lead, but he couldn't really make anything happen. FBI, Rogue, they were very aware of his shenanigans, just buying time. Did really allow Balkan to start to catch up.
Yep.
And that's what we want to see. It's just finding value where you can.
And it's sort of the choice he made earlier, right? The
Still
walls
in the bot lane, though.
Actually, yeah.
And actually now, not afraid to try and dish out some damage. Takes a lot of poke in return.
We didn't see how that one started off, but Jake mustn't have been able to hit his Q there because they didn't have the Braum passive activated. They could not follow up on that one. Swiffer.
Bubble has been hit. And that's going to be some free poke. Ryoma is very, very low.
And this is a rough early game from the Bombers already. We're only 6 minutes in, but 2 kills on a very aggressive jungler. Mid lane with the counter pick not going just as they planned. Balkan's going to try take down his red buff as best he can. But this jungle matchup is very difficult already.
There we go. Smite managing to secure that one for him. And now he can successfully recall Rogue.
I like it. I like the Hex Flash. I am a big Hex Flash fan.
Is it more just for the style points?
Yes. I mean, it is a very useful summoner when you're ahead, because you can constantly just fish for plays that you don't have to commit to, because you start the Hex Flash, they have to respect it. You can do very, very cheeky things that really piss off AD carries. Like if you're in a warded bush, you can just start Hex Flash and they have to concede the cannon. Because if you're an Alistar Hex Flashing, like they have to respect that one. So can make sense. In this case, Rogue is just kind of flaunting the fact he has the rune, because there's nothing he's going to be able to do with it in this situation right now. So.
Yep. Also noticing that Spooks has given the second blue buff over to Swiffer, really going to help him in that lane as that Zoe. Also, I mean, for Spooks, there's really no reason not to. He had a mammoth start.
Absolutely has. Top lane is something we haven't really touched on so far, but this matchup is honestly not all that interesting. It was a blind pick Urgot into the Flex Lissandra, so they're just going to be trading waves back and forward. Pretty even in CS. Mimic's just going to catch the rest of this wave underneath his turret and try and match. Tally doing what he can with his priority, walking down the river, just trying to deny as much control as they can, because you can see this is double or triple pink wards across the map. Actually, no, 4 pink wards. Or to have a very defensive line just before the river, and then are contesting their greens further up. So they're just really controlling all quadrants on their side of the map right now and looking to starve them out.
Yeah, lots of vision that I can notice as well coming out from Order, controlling a lot of the river, making sure that they do have all those gank paths covered.
certainly do. No spicy dragons this game. We saw some triple, double mountains. Bubble does land. Swiffer looking for a bit of poke. Has the proto belt to be able to go forwards for that one. And Ryoma just respecting the damage. There's no chance he's going to die in that situation, but has to burn the cleanse, because if he loses too much health, then he won't be able to lane at all. Zin's out with 2 kills as a jungler that can punish you very quickly, so kind of paying the price early here in this situation.
Spooks as well, you just notice any chance that he does get to pay a visit into that bot lane, just making sure that he can give some breathing room, as we do see Ezreal starting to slip behind a little bit in terms of that CS.
Because it really has slowed down. It was the first 4 minutes, all these ganks, the first ones for either team were successful. But from that point, we are hitting the level 6s, the level 7s across the board. Every single person has their ultimate right now. Second recalls, this is Warrior completed for Spooks, whereas you can see Bolkan not quite at his yet. So Xin Zhao still certainly favored. They may just meet on the top side of the river, though. Looking for something in the top lane. Tally might face check.
Tally gets immediately crowd control. The ultimate is out from Bolkan to lock him into place. Tally, he's got no retreat path, tries to do the flip. The flash comes out. Spooks is here to try and save the day. Luckily, the E gets him out of safety.
Bolkan does have hookshot in a few seconds, but no, everybody just walks away. So that was a very hard commit for the Bombers. Opportunistic play, but Urgot, of course, he takes the spellbook, so he had access to the cleanse, got himself out of that ulti. Swift is here, though.
Another member joining Swiffer, trying to poke, see what he can do. Become that nuisance that we do see coming out of Zoe. Tally's unaware.
Yes, absolutely very sketchy. If this works, if this pays off, if they can get a pick onto Tally, this is weak side of the map for them. They don't have numbers advantage. It could be very useful here. They know exactly where he is. They know he's recalling. Mimic spots Spooks.
Spooks is still in the lane as well. Are they going to let this one go? Bolkan decides against it.
And he does actually show on the minions there. So we did leave the bush the first time, spectator bug again, but second time did actually show on the wave, so he is known exactly where he is on the map. You see that ping for order right now into the golem, so spotting him out fairly easily. This bottom lane is tracking as you would expect. Kai'Sa with the early kill from that dive and about half HP on the turret. They've got themselves 2 plates, but an Ezreal and a Braum, they're happy to kind of sit back and lose as slow as possible at this point, but Bombers certainly have a Kai'Sa online, which is always going to be a good thing.
It's good to see. I mean, looking at Tally as well, he was managing to buy enough time so Spooks could be there. And you could really just sense the tension as well in that top lane, where Bolkan was deciding, do we commit, do we not? Spooks on standby as well, maybe sensing a bit of an ultimate there from Dream. As you said, just pushing back the wave.
Yeah, just poking and prodding across the map right now. They're kind of just trading sides. That was Bombers going topside looking for that play. It was matched. This, it's a bit of a contest over the Scuttle Crab. I think they have an idea that Bolkan is there. But he's not on any vision. Here we go.
Fighting over the Scuttle, Exhausty is out. Bolkan is immediately taken down.
And you can see hand on head wipes his brow. The TP was actually channeled by Tally, and Jake said it multiple times yesterday, cannot be cancelled anymore. So a little bit of expenditure of resources they maybe didn't need, but this is going to be the Ocean Drake picked up for absolutely free. And I'm just surprised Bombers go for that play. Bolkan, no flash, does have the ulti, but I think they just didn't know Braum was in the vicinity. As soon as that Q lands, as soon as Winter's Bite starts the passive, here we go.
Here we go, though. Spooks, he's being constantly focused. Ryoma has taken the brunt, but he gets the shutdown onto FBI.
Swiffer may be in a little bit of trouble as well. Mimic does have his ulti, and Rogue is here, but paying enough respect, so they just backed that one away. But as you mentioned, the shutdown, that was 800 gold. Spooks with 3 kills now dies, and that was to the Kai'Sa. And it's not just the Kai'Sa, it's FBI's Kai'Sa. So that is a very scary prospect. He's going to catch this wave, maybe look for a recall, and he's going to be well on his way to his second item, working towards that Quintus.
Mimic is going into the fight. Bolkan as well. This time they want the kill versus Tally. He's holding on as much as he can. So tanky. Has to use the stopwatch. Stasis coming out. But he actually gets a reverse execute. And Bolkan for the 3rd time now.
And that was a TP from Dream. You least expect the Ezreal to come up to this play. But Tally straight up 1v2s before they even got to that point. Jake and Swift are now in the play.
Mimic knows that his life may be on the line here trying to get away. He does manage to live, but at the sacrifice of that top turret.
And I like this flip. This bottom lane turret was going to die eventually, but FBI down there all on his lonesome. This is 3 members whacking away at the top turret. Tanky members as well, so they can afford to take these turret hits for the time being, and that's going to be the first brick gold attempted to donate over to Dream, but I feel like Tally just got himself half of that one.
Rift Herald as well being picked up by Spooks, sensing value, knowing that Bolkan had died, so taking advantage of that fact. But Bolkan is having a really rough game this time around.
Yes, and I feel like yesterday they won the game, but Mammoth's early game was fairly good. If Mimic wasn't solo killing Topoon, because FBI burnt his summoners in the bottom lane, this is like a very specific thing. He burnt heal flash. They lost complete control of bot side, and Mammoth was able, on their negative side of the map, to get vision to play around the Eve. So Volkan really didn't have opportunities. Hold that thought, Tally.
Rogue in the bot lane. Tally manages to take on more than he can chew.
Yep.
There's going to be 4 Bombers members ready to welcome you.
And 1v2 possible for old James Shoot, Tallywhacker in the top lane, but unfortunately 1v4 is not the play. And I was saying, like, Bombers' early game yesterday wasn't the best, bar the solo kills from topside of Mimic. This game is almost disastrous, whereas Order on the other front, like, their early game wasn't good by any means yesterday, but this is a complete turnaround. Double kill Xin Zhao by 5 minutes. It's always gonna trend positively, and they're just looking to extend this one.
What I really feel as though they've shaken off the nerves, but also it feels exactly what Choo Choo's was saying. They got the picks that they wanted this time around.
I will say, though, in the current climate, because shutdowns before they showed on the scoreboard were also very important. And I have first-hand experience with Spooks, because I was on a team with him for a very long time. And he always used to complain about shutdown gold. He's like, man, like, shutdown gold is literally OP. Now it's on the scoreboard, so it's tangible and very visible. But there's a gold lead here for the Bombers. It's 500 at 14 minutes, so the game is basically even-ish. But the fact that FBI is 1,500 gold up just because he got the first kill, it wasn't first blood, he got the first kill for Bombers, but also that 800 gold shutdown. He's just so monstrously far ahead of Dream.
Soaking it all up. Ryoma, though, the Rift Herald is creating a lot of value for him. He actually does cop the last bit of that ulti from
Rogue's
Dream.
behind.
But FPL looks like he wants to fight. Rogue is actually going to create some havoc, but with those members, there's no one there to follow up. The rest of the members are left to fall defenseless. The fight is still going. Mimic is trying to go and get at least 1 kill. He does succeed. Spooks has to back away, and now FBI is on the scene. Swiffer is so low, but that's also going to be another kill.
And this was a disastrous start. Rogues engaged, got completely botched. Spooks turned around and denied absolutely everything from the Alistar, but Bombers, they still make something of it. There's a ward underneath
There's a ward.
Swiffer.
Mimic knows. He
gets
flashes
it.
for it.
Oh.
The interrupt doesn't go off.
Ah, that hurts. That just sucks, man.
Great kill.
That doesn't feel good. Slightly mistimed. For those of you that don't know, the last like half a second, maybe even less, of the recall is uncancelable once you get to that
Check
point.
out the
But
replay.
we're going to see what happens here. Rogue is looking for a deep flank. He is on vision, the pink ward, and Spooks plus Jake get the Brawn passive to completely deny that one, but Camille just in the thick of it. She dies very quickly, but they just overcommit into Alessandro. Mimic is very safe at this point. Protobelt FBI means that he is absolutely free hitting. He's going to clean up another kill on the back end of this one, and the kills for Bombers are going to the right targets. You want FBI to be ahead. He's now completed 2 items, Boots, plus still has the stopwatch. Level 10 Kai'Sa, he's a very scary prospect. Despite the fact that Volkan is 1-4, this is a very rough game for him, but he can still just do his job. If you're sacrificing yourself to lock down a carry, and FBI can free hit in a team fight, they can just rinse and repeat that one, and FBI will clean up.
Have to agree. I mean, we talked a little bit yesterday about that almost tick guide of when you know all the CC has been burned, when you know that everyone else is focused on another member, that was FBI's chance to shine, and he's got that experience to know exactly when he can come on in. Also, Mimic just creating the space for them to re-engage. I mean, the boys, they're not going to give that fight up for free.
One thing they will give for free is the Infernal Drake, though. Order, a little bit unlucky with the RNG when Bombers have control. They got an Infernal. When they had control, they just got an Ocean, but they completely seeded that one. They came off the reset, just had the losing fight. They go towards top side, fully aware that it was spawning, so they're looking for a trade on the other side of the map. Swiffer sort of running interference here, but he is stuck between an
Rogue
Alistar.
actually wants to go in, and Swiffer is deleted. Looking for more kills now onto Spooks, who's desperately trying to get away. FBI does not connect with the W, otherwise you can bet he was thinking about going in.
He had some choices there. Could have gone in for a dive. Has the stopwatch, so certainly has the safety. Order bite a little bit more off than they can chew in the top side of the map. Just looking for some trade. That's all it was on the other side of the Infernal, but they stick around for way too long. The collapse is there, and that's just another kill to the Bombers.
Bombers now, they're also settling into the groove of the game, it feels like. They know that with FBI, they can just keep him safe. And that's what they really will start to play for. As you said, Volkan, it's okay if he dies, just making sure that there is some value behind it, or if they can trade.
Certainly is. Now Bombers firmly in control of the map. Deciding this turret is completely free gold. This is something that it's hard to in League of Legends, right? Like, we sit here with God View, and you can see absolutely everything. Like, the losing team, it's hard to compliment what they're doing, but I feel like that is a very good example. Order, 2 back-to-back plays. They overcommitted on the first one, but they've just been willing to sack the Infernal and look for a trade. And they're like, this top turret is indefensible. Let's get some bot side control. Right, Bombers are making the right moves. They take the fight when Order overextend. They take that free turret. Now they're resetting and going bot side. So the control won't last very long for Order, but certainly they're not getting nothing for their time. Bombers will ultimately be able to kind of walk through, sweep out the wards, and just take anything they want back at this stage. But it's certainly still close between these two teams.
I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking. Even though we've had those past 2 fights, the gold lead is still sitting at about 1 to 2k, give or take. So it's still very, very close. It's just going to really come down to, as I said, how do they play to their strengths? How do they play to their compositions in these fights breaking out?
And I feel like the game is going to get very interesting very soon, approaching that 20-minute mark, 45 seconds before the Baron will spawn. So resets kind of coming out across the board. TPs are available for both top laners. Tally, even though he has his up, is actually just walking across to the group. So Order maybe just looking to force this play, whereas Mimic is certainly playing safe, but he's still playing in the side lane.
Gathering some vision as well. We don't know where the members of Bombers are, so Order are just being mindful of that. A little bit of free poke onto Jake.
Just trying to shepherd the wave in a little bit to get control around the Baron buff. Sweeper is popped here by Spooks. Jake still has his, so they can clear vision for a very long time if they want to keep committing. But this is all 5 members committed to the mid play. Tally is still here. Mimic has had 2 waves of freedom in the side lane right now, so that's going to get shoved all the way in. Tally eventually has to respond underneath the turret, and we'll walk back down bot.
As I said, both top laners do have their teleports up so they can rejoin their teams. But it's going to be the Baron pit that we see a lot of the teams now wrestling that control over. The vision starting to come out. As you said, Spooks already did the initial sweep, but it's just, which team wants to try and engage first in your opinion?
Well, it's definitely the Bombers, right? Like, they have the engage tools. That's
Here we go,
very
though. Lots of poke.
big chunk onto Volcan. Order, because they had 5 members, like, they're not stronger in a team fight right now, but because they brought Tally over and he sacked himself individually, they got control around the Baron pit. Bombers, Mimic pushes in, he rotates over, so it's kind of like this ebb and flow where Tally was there, so Order have control. Now Mimic is there, so Bombers just retake it back with ease, basically. Obviously, I don't think Order are looking to start up the Baron anytime soon. That's definitely going to be on Bomber's turf. They don't have the best comp to be able to tank this one. Alistar would probably have to pop his ulti at 20 minutes if he's going to be the Baron tank. But they have a squishy jungler, they have a squishy top laner, so they just want to kind of set up a bait, deny vision, and look for a pick more than anything. Look for Volcan to lock someone down, more so than, I think, just start up the Baron and look to force.
I mean, you can just see so much shred as well coming out from Bombers that they do have at their disposal if the Baron call was to be made. However, with Order, they do have a very, very scary team fight as well. So it just comes down to playing the patience game here, seeing if there's any opportunities, any picks that they can make. For the time being, just trading the vision out. As you said, once one team gets vision, it's almost just that tug of war game.
Yeah, and that's it, right? Like, both these teams are playing fairly respectfully right now. We were having a fairly lengthy, for those of you that tuned in yesterday, a fairly lengthy conversation on the back end of the show, myself and Jake on the couch, about what best of one does to like player and team mindsets in these sort of situations. These are two, I feel like these players, because it's hard to talk about these teams when Bombers is completely new. Order last split was a very aggressive team, right? And Bombers, these players, FBI, Rogue, Ryoma, they're very aggressive players, but this is a fairly slow, respectful mid game. Baron has been up for 2 minutes. Nobody's really made a big call here, and nobody's looking for that game-breaking team fight just yet. So it is pretty interesting, because I expected, like, hyper-aggression coming in.
Oh, here we go. There he is. And he's happy to get aggressive. That's going to be Ezreal taken out of the fight. Spooks now in a lot of trouble. Camille having to use the ult. Flash needing to be burned. Rogue around on the flanks. Pops the ultimate. Ready to dive if needed. Looking for more kills. Swiffer is going to be the next target. Unfortunately, doesn't miss, but that doesn't matter. In the mid lane, it's going to be Braum that now gets shaded.
And 2 members dead here from Order. Stun is going to go a little bit wide, but 5 already up and available here for Bombers. They've burnt all of their cooldowns. They had literally 0 ultis to be able to contest this one. Zoe is fairly good in the contest. Keep in mind, Dream has teleport, so he's 5 seconds away, but he can still get to this play. The contest is here from Order.
3 members of Order on standby.
Hex
Teleport
flash.
being called
There
out
it
now
is.
by Dream. Rogue is going in again for the second time, but it's going to be Spooks that has no escape, having to proc the pop watch, but Vulcan, Mimic, so low. That's going to be Balkan, who is first to fall, and the rest of the members are incredibly low.
And Bombers, they have to walk away. The bubble will land. Here it is.
Kill taken out, and Ryoma is going to fall. This is suddenly disastrous. Bombers have been completely flipped. 3 kills now.
And can they just do Baron? TP from Ezreal got so much value there. Baron, absolutely MVP. I mentioned the Bombers' composition is so incredibly squishy. They can't take this one up, so Order 3 members until Dream arrives. Then it's still a 4 versus 5, but they contest. They take them down. FBI, he's got to look for a W, I suspect, but it's completely blind here. Timing was okay, but Jake does the right thing. Super safe play. He puts himself between any contestant in the Baron, and this game just completely swung back from the boys from Melbourne.
I am loving the game so far. Now we really do have a series on our hand. You can see on the replay around the Baron pit.
Yeah, and this is a very good looking fight, right? Hex Flash, the turn is there, but they just don't have cooldowns. Alistar is not tanky at level 9 without his ultimate. Mimic doesn't have his ulti either. Syndra can't burst down a single target despite the fact that they got the double combo into the list. So this is just a very touch and go Baron call. It's very kind of disrespectful of Order's composition to some degree here from Bombers. And Ezreal, Zoe, 2 champions that are very good at the slow contest there, and it pays off dividends.
Oh, in the mid lane over here, the vision was granted by Dream's ultimate, forcing the Bombers to immediately retreat back to safety. Start on the Drake, however, which is an O-Straight.
And that ulti does some fat damage. Ezreal,
it is starting to hurt.
Since the W rework, his AP ratios were kind of changed a bit. So now you see, instead of going like CDR boots or Merc Ninja Tabby like you would used to see, they actually just go straight for Sorcerers. So his ulti, his W, actually does some sick damage later on in the game. That basically did like 25-30% of Mimic's HP, and he's gone Resolve primary tree, so he's not necessarily the squishiest Lysandra you've ever seen. So really interesting to touch on the individual stuff.
Tally's in a little bit of trouble. He's got 4 members and no one close by to assist. He will be taken out. That's the Bombers finding a pick, sacrificing that top turret.
They do sacrifice the 1 turret. It's important once again to look at what they used. It was just the Syndra ulti. Mimic will spot out the reset. He gets 1.
He actually gets the interrupt, forcing that ult onto Spooks. It is a 1v1, but the rest of the members are here. Another pick over to the Bombers.
And a very easy collapse. All of them were coming. They thought they were safe, but Spooks gets a little bit left behind. Mimic just in range to cancel his recall. So they've now denied 2 Baron buffs, and one of them is on the side laner in Tallywacker. So if Order do set up, they're only going to have 1 wave realistically of the Baron creeps, which is a pretty big deal. Bombers certainly still in this game for the most part.
Huge back and forth. And you know, in that original Baron fight as well, you were talking about the mages and, you know, once all their cooldowns, that is the weakness of the Bombers composition, is it not?
Pretty much. They're just too squishy to take the Baron, so they were fighting the Baron, and also they couldn't realistically turn and win the fight because they didn't have Liss ulti, they didn't have Camille to lock anyone down. Alistar's not tanky, and I think maybe they just didn't account for the fact that Ezreal was going to TP back, because if that's Hex Flash onto Zoe, then all of a sudden like the 1 damage threat is gone, and it's a Braum and it's a Xin Zhao trying to 2-man contest, and those champs will just immediately die as soon as they walk into the pit. But Order do clean up nicely. They get a couple of turrets. No, they get the single turret at the top side. Now looking to flip the map, take the one down in the bottom. But Bombers, they're just running it up mid.
Bombers trying to find some more value. That's going to be FBI leading the charge there. For the first time as well, I was going to say, Order actually managed to get a bit of the gold lead until we saw that knockdown. So they are finally equal now.
Yeah.
We saw this game is so incredibly close still.
Neck and neck. Basically what splits them is 2 kills and an Infernal Drake. Kai'Sa is certainly a lot scarier than an Ezreal at this point of the game. It's kind of arguable between the two in terms of scaling, because a lot of people talk about scaling fairly often. Like, people throw it around in solo queue and stuff like that, but scaling realistically only matters, at least in my opinion, when there's a big deficit. If you scale slightly better than another champion, it's not almost like that relevant. It's more about the engage, the setup of the fight, like who starts it off on the right foot versus who's being reactive. Because Ezreal and Kai'Sa, they can still output tons of damage if they're given freedom in a fight. But given Kai'Sa 4 items completed, has the safety of that GA already, 4 kills in his back pocket, you certainly feel that FBI at this stage of the game is much scarier than a 2.5 item Ezreal.
Quite a lot of defensive items as well completed by the Bombers to really assist with what Order are trying to throw their way.
Certainly is. This is once again going to be the 5-man group from Order. Bombers are matching. Tally, I think, doesn't have TP, so he's opted in for the cleanse once again with the spellbook. He got some early value in that with the gank turnaround when he cleansed out of Mimic's ulti, but Mimic has TP. They just feel like they can't look to play for the sides of the map right now. They're just respecting this 5-man group from Order, and they're kind of just matching.
I like that by Rogue as well, just on the flank. Volkan. He has been recalling. Finally, the vision shows where Order are.
So they do get spotted out. One minute and 20 seconds on both. Baron Ryoma, this is a check stun.
He's trying to go in, make a play onto Spooks, try and slow him down. Volcan was
Here we
ready
go.
to go in, but that's going to be the Braum ultimate coming out. Spooks is first to fall. Dream had to pop the blink, except we have Volcan ready to lock him up with the ulti, and he's doing so much work. The GA has been popped. The rest of the members are trying to get there. Stun coming out onto Tally. Volcan needing to retreat, spotting out Swiffer, but not willing to go and
Ulti.
engage, except FBI is shut down onto Volcan. Tally is trying to go in. They saved Rogue. Now it's just going to be a scrappy cleanup.
And scrappy was the word. What was that fight? That was a fight on like 3 or 4 fronts. FBI comes out completely victorious in that regard. Another 2 kills on the Kaiser. Feels bloody good, man. 30 seconds before Baron is spawned, so they're going to get complete control of Order's topside jungle. You can see the line of deep wards are already very far pushed forward. Spooks dodges out on the stun, but this is just a very long engage range. Mimic, very nice, flash into the backside, gets his ulti down onto a target, immediately QSS there, but Tally flanking from the top side of your screen, and Rogue, a little bit of a flub on the engage on the bottom side of your screen. Swiffer just kind of holding hostage 3 members of Bombers, but as soon as he's split off, Dream is way too low. There's no way that Order can realistically look to fight once again. This pick onto Volcan is very nice, but it does cost Swiffer his life, and it was a fairly even trade across the board, but Bombers still retain control of the map.
This is going to be the next Baron call right here. Will Bombers have a little bit more success?
They have ultis this time, bar the Camille, bar the Alistar, but they certainly have the Lysandra, which is the big one. Rogue is
Baron
already
is
half
2/3.
HP.
Baron is half health now. Bombers actually retreat now. They do spot Order is there. They don't want a repeat of what we saw happening last time.
And I think that was just a greedy start. The map state is not good for them. The side lanes are slowly pushing on to their side of the map. They're now conceding mid-priority, so the full reset has to come out. Multiple members, 4 of them have to walk the long way. Rogue's going to channel Hex Flash. Mimic is looking for a flank as well, but they don't want to pull the trigger on the engage. Rogue just backs away. Here we go.
No, Mimic not yet willing to commit to that.
Jake does a very nice job there. Braum Shield actually eats the claw if you get on top of it, so putting himself between his teammates and the Lysandra is a very good move from a very good Braum player here, so denies the possibility for Mimic to get into the back line. Alistar ulti and Camille ulti are up and available here from Bombers though, so if they want to start the fight, they have all of their tools compared to last time.
Drake also did respawn in the same time that the Baron was up. You already see Volcan, he has managed to get the Scuttler. At least they have vision control of that bot lane.
Yep, and they are contest between Baron and Air Drake. Air Drake loses by a pretty long mile, so absolutely nobody cares about that one for the time being. It's just contesting the Baron. Order with an ambitious start up here. They're denying some of the vision, but Swiffer is going to show on that ward.
There we go. Baron started this time by Order. The rest of the members now of Bombers need to make their move. Baron again onto half, and this time Order needs to back away.
And I don't think Order are looking to start up the Baron here. They're just looking to burn Mimic's TP, but holds onto it for the time being. Just starts walking up the river. Lysandra's pretty slow champion, but you see as soon as the contest was there from Bombers, Order just back away. So they're kind of fishing for opportunities. This will probably cost them this inner turret. There's nobody here to defend. Maybe not enough of a wave on this time. The cannon creep may be enough. With Demolish Proc, it's absolutely going to go down. So smart play from Mimic to hold on to his TP and not just blow it immediately. A lot of people will do that one. That's a fairly standard move that I think we saw 2016, 2017 League of Legends, where teams just start up Baron, force TP, back away when they're in a losing situation.
Some mind games.
Yeah, basically, because if you deny vision, like Bombers have to contest. You don't want to give away a free Baron, right? So you walk up, you TP in case they actually commit to the play, they back away, and then everything kind of just resets.
Becomes a little bit harder now though, because you do have to commit to that TP. You don't want to burn that resource unnecessarily. So as you said, from Mimic just showing really nice restraint in just calling out, are they actually committing to this? Do I need to be there?
It's a smart play, and I feel like Korea, out of any region, and like Korean solo queue for individuals, hold that thought.
Rogue wants to go in, so too does Mimic. Just chasing them away for now, regaining control of that Baron area.
Bubble lands, but there's going to be no follow-up. But I was saying that Korea probably has some of the best use of TP. We've talked about how OPL looks up to Korea a lot, despite playing, I feel like, a fairly drastically different style. But Mimic coming over, his first split on Legacy, I was most impressed with his TP usage in solo queue. Like, my individual experience was with that specifically, but the Baron has been started.
No vision at all from Order onto the Baron pit, just sensing that something might be amiss. That's going to be Spooks trying to get in there, maybe try and smite steal. He gets the smite steal. He'll pay for it with his life, but that is so much worth.
And he's up dancing out of his chair. He's flailing his arms around, going everywhere. That's complete disaster here for the Bombers.
Luck.
Yeah, birthday boy comes up supreme once again. Volkan didn't even use the smite, has the charge available, so this is 2 Barons back-to-back that Order have kind of just been gifted by the Bombers lineup here.
Bombers maybe now sensing some of that pressure. Is going to be a very, very scary Order pushing at them in the mid lane, having to clear out those waves as quickly as possible.
And Rogue is now the only form of engage. They're kind of flanking here. Volkan is on the top side, Rogue is on the bottom, but Mimic is gone. He's dead. Here we go!
That's the big fight coming out. The shutdown now onto Ezreal. The rest of the members collapsing onto Tally. There's not much he can do. Rogue manages to live on a sliver. The double kill is there. Volkan is chasing down Swiffer, who's desperately trying to get away. The Drowsy, the bubble pops. It's going to be FBI, who's here, ready to clean up this fight.
Oh, 9-0-8 FBI. He probably has multiple 1,000 gold shutdowns on his head right now, but this is Mimic TPing into the mid lane. Order.
No Baron, no problem.
Just gifted it right back. They just got back into the game with sieging, but very good engage. The flank from Rogue, the flank from Volkan, triple knock-up and immediate wipe from Order.
Rogue just not afraid to make the plays for his team. As you already stated, doesn't matter if he dies, doesn't matter if Volkan dies. It's all about pocketing FBI and just letting him do FBI things.
And do they look for the end?
They are going for it. It looks like they have to just chase him off. First turret is going to be down. Second Nexus turret is trying to fall. It is Spooks valiantly trying to defend. He manages to push him back by a little bit of time. He does get popped. That is going to be the rest of the members. FBI's GA gets popped. That's the game.
And that is disaster. That's a hard one to lose. Bombers had a whole lot of control for a whole lot of points that game. It wasn't clean by any means. Volkan, you can see, a little bit of a roughie there. Captain Rogue patting him on the back. You know, it's okay, you gave him a Baron. We still got the W. A win's a win. Very, very nice of them to just immediately end the game. Yeah, that was...
What a game. It was so much push and pull. Every time I thought that one team was up, we saw them flip, and even no Baron, no problem. 2 times for the Bombers. Spooks, though, with that big Baron steal.
Yeah, that was a 5v3 end. You know, no Baron creeps, but as soon as Ali has ulti, he can just tank up the double Nexus turrets, and numbers advantage, they just wipe the floor with him. Mimic goes over the back of the Nexus, and he just hits that one down. That was... That's just a roughie. That is like a tough... Because coming in, like, we're in week 1 of the OPL, right? Like, you look at Bombers, and they're probably not happy with that game. They're just like, man, like,
they had to fight a lot harder for it.
We threw that so many times, but also that is the hardest way to lose a game if you're Order. Right? Like, this
you felt like you were up so many times.
Yeah, like, they got gifted the game multiple times, and then, unfortunately, like, the back end, they lose a single team fight, and the game is just over immediately. And the couch kind of touched on it right now. You can see hugs all around. Rogue and FBI, former Order members, the 3 remaining, Tally, Spooks, and Swiffer. Give them a nice big hug. So, nice individual player rivalries across the board. So it's probably going to sting a little bit harder here.
It does, but I like to see the boys having a bit of fun with it still, because you have to be proud of that performance still. But I feel like Rogue, also Volkan, to start with that Camille performance that we saw, we were like, oh, it's a little bit
rough early game.
But he really pulled it right back.
Yeah, and I feel like you mentioned Rogue as well, like the Alistar, he's always been an Alistar guy, right? That was a double, maybe triple knock-up in the back end of that team fight, 4 versus 4, immediate wipe. FBI and Rogue, they've been together for a long time, and he's very willing 2 games deep in the OPL to show that he's just diving the backline on Kai'Sa. Once he gets a lead, he was like 9-0-7.
He will make the plays happen. He wasn't afraid. You say go, he's going to jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was there backing up the boys, and that was just a good team fight to win the game.
Speaking of jumping in, we'd like to hear the boys on the couch jumping into the analysis on this one. Tossing it back over to you, Nick Boy.
My mouth! Jake.
Whoa, we're both in the danger zone.
Sorry. Our mouths!
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
But it was a much better day for Order.
Oh, absolutely. That was a great day for Order.
That was a great game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having seen how well Bombers controlled Mammoth yesterday, especially when Mammoth had, a lot, kind of going right for them on the bottom side of the map, but a lot going for the wrong going on the top side of the map, and kind of how back and forth that game was. To see Order come in after a disappointing performance yesterday and kind of control their zones and play respectfully and give the Drakes and give turrets, but catch waves and take team fights that they know they can win and rebuff Barons and things like that was a much more disciplined style of League of Legends. And I'm a big believer, obviously, because I'm part of the Order organization, that within Oceania, like, discipline is one of the biggest things we lack. And it's one of those building blocks that, the LCK teams and the LPL teams have always had. And I think that this was a game that, even though Order weren't able to win, they did show that discipline. And I guess even more impressively, Bombers in certain windows also show they can play that game.
Yeah, I think discipline's actually a good way to sum up the game. And that is a rarity. I agree. Discipline's a hard thing to maintain. And ultimately when you compare both teams in this game, during the reason picks were happening or the game what did look a lot like ping pong back and forth is that there was just holes in the discipline. But overall, when the holes weren't there, it looked actually like a very good control game of League of Legends, with everyone making the correct decisions with the information they had.
Yeah, and I mean, a couple of players are going to be kicking themselves, right? You know, when you have a look at this game, Balkan's going to be like, how did he steal that Baron? You know, Dream in the last fight is going to say, why did I E to proc my W on Ryoma? I just got launched on, and probably, you know, that team fight swung because of that. But I think overall, what you do have to say is, you know, that was a very back and forward contest that teams in their power windows, you know, were able to like have very successful players, and that once again, like the only thing that you really learn out of this game is that FBI is probably the best data carrier in the league.
He's
like,
the one player that isn't kicking himself right now. That was an unbelievable game from him.
He's had a flawless weekend. You have a look at his performance against Mammoth, played very well there. Then his performance now against Order, I think he went 9-0-7 as Bryce said. He actually hit the Nexus at the end of the game.
He did.
I actually said this game might not be over because if FBI tries to farm some kills, we'll wipe them in the team fight, but he hit the damn Nexus, and you know, there's just so much to be happy about Invicta's gameplay from a player that was playing on Sin very scrappily, like to where he's become. You know, getting top 7 on Korean solo queue, he's certainly like one of the great home talents.
He got very high in Korean solo queue rank-wise as well, and I mentioned this yesterday. Some of the players actually had a bit of struggles this year with the climb. It was a lot harder, and you know, some of them said this is the hardest year we've had in Korean boot camps, but it seems like FBI in that environment just purely excelled and managed to get higher than ever before, and you're seeing those results now.
And I guess the positive things, right? Because everyone looked at this Bombers lineup and they were like, so much individual talent, but how are they going to communicate? How are they going to play under pressure? Well, that's a game that's under pressure. You got 2 people that are playing against ex-teammates. They don't want to lose that game at all. They're the ones playing well. You know, maybe it's Balkan at the start of the game and Ryoma got first blooded. Maybe they're the ones sweating a little bit. And all of a sudden they say, you know what, guys, don't worry about it. Slow it down. We're going to take a team fight into a team fight comp. We're going to look for this and we're going to make it work. And, you know, that shows that they are a resilient team and that they do have that leadership and that they're able to translate it across the Korean and English platform, at least for now. So I think there's a lot of positives to take away if you're the Bombers team as well.
Fantastic. I think it was a fantastic game. We're going to be back after this short break with another fantastic game before we get to the next game of League of Legends.